Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to buy a used dirt bike. So basically, I've had a lot of bad experiences buying a used dirt bike, and I want to give you guys all the tips and things I've learned from buying a used dirt bike so I can make your experience less shitty than mine have been. It might have been pretty tragic. So I want to teach you guys how to buy a used dirt bike, just basically with the things I've learned from my experiences. So hopefully this will help you guys go out and find the right dirt bike. Alright, so here are going to be some of my tips for buying a used bike that I've learned from experience. Hopefully this helps you guys out when you guys are looking to buy a used dirt bike. So basically my first tip is take the bike for a test drive. Every time I've bought a used dirt bike, I've never taken the bike for a test drive. It's always been offered, but I personally don't like riding someone else's stuff that's not mine, especially if I don't know the person. So I never take it for a test drive just in case something happens. But from now on, I'm gonna take my bikes for a test drive, and you guys should too, so you guys know how it rides. You can feel the clutch, you can feel how it shifts, how the engine feels. It really helps to take your bike on a test drive, so I'm gonna start doing that from now on. My second tip is find the history on the bike. Has the bike been raced? Who owned it? Who rode it? How many hours does it have? How long? How does he ride it? Where does he ride it? Does he do the maintenance? Does he keep up with all that? Make sure you guys check on all that stuff, because this bike was a previous race bike, and that is part of the reason why it's such a bitch to get running right and why it won't stay running. So get the history on your bike, know if it was a race bike, know if it was kept stock, know if it was raced or trail ridden, and that should help you guys a lot just to find out what the bike's been used for so you guys know what you're getting into. Another tip of mine is buy a stock bike. Get as close to stock as you can get, because this bike has an APE aftermarket race head, triple tree clamps, this FMF exhaust system. It's got an aftermarket clutch, sprocket, chain, suspension. It's got all this shit done to it, and I think that's part of the reason that it's not running as good as it should be, because the guy said it was a previous race bike. It's been raced before in motocross, like professionally. So that obviously has a lot to do with the reason why it's not running right. I think that whoever owned it before me bought the bike off a race guy, didn't know how to keep up with everything that's been done to it, and that's why it's gone to shit and it doesn't run right. So look for a bike as close as stock to possible. It's gonna help you out in the long run, especially if you're someone like me who's just getting into dirt bikes, is not a racer, doesn't know what he's doing, can't really wrench on his own stuff yet. Look for a stock bike. It'll help you guys out a lot. But if you're someone who races these, knows how to wrench on them, been around them your whole life, yeah, go ahead and buy one that's got all the aftermarket stuff on it that you may want. But if you're some novice guy like me who's just getting into it or just wants it for a weekend toy, get as close to stock as possible. You'll thank yourself in the long run for that. Another tip is this bike is an O2, so it's a carb bike. If you guys can afford it, get a fuel injected bike. You'll be thanking yourself later. Fuel injected is just so much easier to deal with. You don't have to fuck with the carb or anything. Unless you guys are good with carbs, or like I said, wrench on your own stuff, you can get a carb. But honestly, I recommend a fuel injected. I wish I would have bought fuel injected, but I didn't know until I got into this bike that a fuel injected would help me out so much. So make sure you guys look for a fuel injected bike if you can afford it. You'll be thanking yourself later. Also, another thing that pertains to particularly the 4-strokes is your valves. I think that's a big issue, and why my bike's not running right is your valves. If your bike backfires when you let off the gas, when you're giving it a little bit, most likely your valves are out of adjustment. If it doesn't hot start, most likely your valves are out of adjustment. There are a lot of things that go into the reason the valve's not being adjusted, and what happens when your valves aren't adjusted is your bike's not going to run right. It's not going to want to hot start. It's not going to want to start. It's going to run like shit, basically. So make sure you got history on your valves, and if you need your valves adjusted, you know someone that can do it, or you can do it yourself, because that's also a big thing with the 4-strokes. They're very finicky, and the valves play a big issue in whether or not your bike's going to run right or not. So if you if you test drive your bike like I mentioned earlier, and you get off the gas and you hear it sputtering and backfiring, that's going to be most likely your valves out of adjustment. So that's a big sign right there to make sure that you get your valves adjusted, or bring that up to him and ask him about the valves, if he's ever maintained them or whatever he's done to them, just so you guys are safe on that side of that. That's something I didn't know about when I bought a 4-stroke. I had no clue about the whole valve thing, so I'm just trying to give you guys all the things that I've learned through my shitty experiences of buying dirt bikes, so maybe I can make your guys' experience less shitty. Yeah, so basically, like I said, the biggest thing is make sure you test ride the bike and get the history on it. And if it's got all this aftermarket shit, make sure the guy knows what he's talking about. Make sure you know what you're doing and talking about when you buy it, because the aftermarket shit, you just end up fucking with your bike more than you want to. It's just gonna fuck you over in the long run unless you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about. Because I'm pretty sure this race head on here shouldn't be, it should run better with it. It leaks fuel somewhere. I mean, it's just a whole mess right now. So make sure you guys know what you're doing and talking about. Test drive your bikes, get the history on them. Was it raced? Who rode it? How hard did you ride it? Where did you ride it at? And if you kept up on the maintenance, like oil changes, cleaning the air filter, and all that good stuff, because that's all a huge part in how long your bike's gonna run. Obviously, anything, the better you maintain and take care of, the longer it's gonna last for you, and the better it's gonna treat you. So make sure you guys get all that stuff squared away before you purchase a bike. And if something isn't right with the bike, step away from it. Like, I should have stepped away from this bike when I got up there, because when I went to go buy it, he went to go start it, and it took probably 30 or 40 kicks for it to start. And he said it was just because he rode it and washed it. And that should have been a sign to me that, hey, this bike's not worth your money, you should step away. But I didn't, because I wanted a bike and I liked it. So I ended up buying it, and I kind of got fucked over in the end. So if there's anything when you go to buy a bike, you guys, that's telling you, hey, maybe this bike isn't 100% safe and sound, maybe it's not what I thought it was, don't buy the bike, because you're just gonna get yourself into a mess. It's not worth it. As bad as you want a bike, there's a million others out there. You'll find the right one. Just don't go out there and buy a bike just because you want it. Make sure everything is set. Make sure everything is good, like I've talked about, and you'll be way happier in the end. And you won't end up like me, who has to either fix this or sell it and get another one. So yeah, just make sure everything's safe on that bike that you buy. Make sure everything is just perfect. A lot of you guys in the comment section have been asking where my CR's been and why I haven't had dirt bike vlogs in a while. And basically my bike's kind of a pile of shit and it doesn't run right. So I had it at a friend's house. He tried to fix it. He got it to start and run, but it doesn't stay running still. So the bike's kind of been down for a little bit. So I got to take it to a shop and basically get it rebuilt. And then dirt bike vlogs will be back in full force. But right now it's kind of just chilling right here because it doesn't really run. Alright guys, so as far as what I'm doing for riding tomorrow, I'm going to be riding my friend's KX110 again that you guys saw in, or KX100, whatever it is, what you guys saw in my last video of Fox Valley Off-Road, because unfortunately my bike right here is not running right. So I'll be riding the KX, but we're still going riding, so expect a riding video tomorrow. Maybe 2, obviously. How much filming I get done, we'll see what we got. We could possibly pump out 2 riding videos for you guys. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed my tips and learned from my mistakes that I've made. Obviously, I'm gonna start taking my own tips when I buy a dirt bike. This is all the shit that I've learned from buying dirt bikes and having shitty ones. Hopefully you guys take those tips into consideration when you go purchase your next bike, because it could help you guys a lot. If you guys enjoyed the tips and you feel like it's gonna help you, please drop a like on this video. Subscribe for more content, because I do a lot of dirt bikes, cars, snowmobiles, and a bunch of other cool stuff like that, a lot of motorsports. And comment down below if you guys got any other tips for me when I go buy another dirt bike at some point. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Just want that Audi and I want it every color. Kick it with my baby and I treat her like no other. I just get the bag and then I split it with my brothers. I just want the Audi and I want it every color.